I'm wondering why so many people are just now waking up all over the world to the injustices that so many people of color have faced for centuries. You're on a different frequency. We're on FM, and for some reason you're on AM. And when we quote George Floyd's dying words, "I can't breathe," so many of you still can't hear us, can't hear him, can't hear me. We're telling you why we don't condone the rioting and the violence, and at the same time, how we can understand why people are marching and rioting and looting in the streets. And for some reason, you can't hear us. You can't hear me. Internally, y'all, we are telling you that there's a storm raging because we want to trust the police. We want to trust politicians. We want to trust pastors and business leaders, but those relationships have been broken. We want to trust you. If you say you're a Christian, your number one job should be to love your neighbor as yourself. I shouldn't have to teach you how to love, and I shouldn't have to worry if I can trust you and if you can hear me. I shouldn't have to worry. Your job is to love everyone and not just those who look like you or worship with you or go to school with your kids or live in your neighborhoods. And since the only thing many of my white Christian brothers and sisters care about are the stores that are being looted and the cost of the rioting, let me tell you why that is the wrong starting point. Again, I can disagree with the violence, and I can still understand what has led up to this violence. The data shows this. Over the weekend, they declared property damage from riots in Minneapolis a catastrophe, meaning that insurers will pay out at least $25 million in losses. If you look at the 121 cities that have seen protests erupt and you consider the cost of the looting and the violence a catastrophe at an average of $25 million per city, that would add up to approximately $3 billion in damages. Now, follow this logic. And I want you to understand why dismissing this movement as just a bunch of thugs and not hearing the actual underlying message behind this rage is simply idiotic. Here's why. According to Sean Rochester in his book, The Black Tax, The Cost of Being Black in America, what we are seeing is bigger than a lapse in moral judgment or systemic racism or COVID-19 or criminal injustice or economic disenfranchisement or health disparities. It's all about the financial cost of being black in America. We've paid a high price in this country. No matter what the industry has been, no matter what the activity, it doesn't matter if it's housing, it doesn't matter if it's automotive, job searching, careers, online commerce, entrepreneurship, banking, and lending, it doesn't matter. After 401 years, we still only account for 2% of the U.S. wealth. Protests are going on because there's something else happening within the American system to keep things where they are. There is both a conscious and an unconscious bias against people of color at work that is holding us and other minorities down, and we are tired of it. The streets are telling us that. According to Rochester, we're missing 6 million African-American jobs and 1.4 million businesses with staff across our black communities in America. Plus, $8 trillion in net worth has literally vanished over the past 401 years from the black community. Can you hear us now? Slavery from 1619 to 1865 cost us as African Americans in this country $50 trillion. The present value of black labor in 1860 cost us $22 trillion. The Homeland Act, 1862 to 1935, cost us $1.6 trillion. Sharecropping and Jim Crow society from 1870 to 1935 cost us $15 trillion. During the great economic expansion, everybody's doing good but us. 1935 to 1965, look what vanished. Labor costing us $44 trillion. Education disparities cost us $2 trillion. Housing cost us $1.75 trillion. Post-civil rights era, 1960 to today. Here's what has been missing. We've had 6 decades of a persistent black-white employment gap that has cost us $3.3 trillion. Stay with this, follow me. me. Missing intergenerational inheritance has cost us $4.2 trillion. And to this day, we lose $317 billion a year that is lost in equity value, $20 billion a year in missing black teachers, $30 billion a year in lost income from the black prison population, $80 billion per year due to the six-decade black-white employment gap, $72 billion to $93 billion in 2005 alone lost to foreclosures from discriminatory subprime lending practices, and $94 billion to $123 billion lost to workplace discrimination in 1970 alone. Can you hear us now? The total cost of being black in America is to feel the loss of over $70 trillion in economic progress that we literally have given away. Now compare that to the estimated $3 billion everyone is going to be talking about with regard to the uprising of the past few weeks, the looting and the violence and the destruction. And think of it this way. We would have to see this same level of violence and destruction for another 23,333 days. That's 3,333 weeks. That's 59 more years, 7 days, a week straight to make the same dent in this country that this country has put in our black communities. There should be no wonder why people are frustrated, angry, tired, mad, shouting, screaming, marching, and yes, even rioting and looting. And now you know. It's not just about the looting that's happening. It's about the looting that's been happening for over 401 years. The question that we should be asking is, can you hear us now? It's Pastor G, and I'm just saying.